Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm asking the question, can a large country survive without the internet? And this is what we're talking about. I think it's absolutely fascinating. We are talking about the Russian government. They just announced on Monday that they are going to they're basically going to test their own internal RUNet network to see if the country can function without the global internet if they are ever cut off. Now, these tests are slated to begin on November 1st, recur at least annually, and probably more frequently, according to the government. Now, here's a bit of a backstory as to why Russia is doing this. In 2016, Russia launched the Closed Data Transfer Segment. Basically, this is a big military intranet for the country for classified data, which is very similar to the U.S. Department of Defense's Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communication System. Now, in 2017, a year later, Russia announced that it intended to build its own domain name directory, which would allow it to reroute traffic intended for one website or another. So in other words, if they are running their own DNS system, if you try to, let's say, go to Google, Russia could possibly reroute you to Russia's version of Google, just as a very basic example, if you are a regular citizen outside of the RUNet military intranet, assuming it would take over. Now, in 2018, last year, Putin's top IT advisor, Herman Klemenko, and others suggested that the military's intranet, if properly expanded, might be able to carry the rest of the country's internet traffic, although this would obviously be very painful. It would probably cut bandwidth, but they think they can do it. And so this is what they're going to test, and they've been moving this way. Now, a lot of people have weighed in on this that are Russia experts outside of Russia. One of those would be Samuel Bendet. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He is a fellow in Russian studies at the American Foreign Policy Council, and he said this announcement shows that the Russian government, and I quote, is eager to address what it sees as a strategic vulnerability, reliance on Western IT, which obviously makes sense. Russia is at odds with multiple countries. And obviously, this is just the latest move in basically a series of technical and policy steps intended to allow the Russian government to cut its citizens off from the rest of the world. And so that, I think, is probably one of the major drivers of Russia doing this. Many governments that have pretty tight authority over their people, China, Vietnam, and some others, are looking to build their own internets, their own massive intranets, and have that act as an internet, keeping their citizens within their own ecosystem, in terms of censorship, routing, all these kinds of things. But I think it opens up a larger question in the greater sense of cyber warfare, is that if we have countries that are adversarial to each other and they are knocking out each other's, let's say, commercial internet or surface internet that allows just people to get online, business and commerce to run, and all of that, could a government actually be able to, let's say, sustain the internet for their people, let's say even just internal into, let's say, the country? And so, for example, if I do most of my ordering, let's say, in the United States from US countries, and we are cut off from the rest of the world, if the United States had its own intranet, I would still be able to, let's say, get to the websites that we get to. We have a bit of an advantage, I think, sitting in the United States because Google and a whole bunch of other massive tech companies are here. But I think that's a question that we're going to have to ask. And as the internet becomes more compartmentalized, I literally wrote an article about this, of what the internet is going to look like in 2028. I wrote that for Forbes. I think we start looking at governments to be able to build that infrastructure and allow it to route. Now, maybe in a more open government like the American government, the United States government, maybe that's just ensuring that all of the local internet service providers actually are able to maintain their own intranet with each other. And so even if we can't route, let's say, out past America or North America, then we have the ability at least to continue to flow with what we can do. So still get Netflix in a cyber warfare attack. Who knows? But I think it's a very interesting test. I think we're going to see what happens. We already know that other countries essentially have this ability because they've built their infrastructure in such a way that it's going to allow them to do this. I'm looking at China, Vietnam, and some other places. But Russia is going to be the first example where you've got information flowing, for lack of a better term, freely in and out of that country, and now they're about to cut it off, and now they're about to test. So we're going to see what happens there, but I think it's going to be an interesting look at what the potential future for the internet looks like, especially when we are all at cyber war with each other. So take that for what it's worth, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.